I'm here with Dr. Mary Talley Bowden again for, what is this, like the fourth time we've done this. So, but it seems like the medical world is insane, and you're the main contact that I have that can help explain all this stuff. So it's great to have you on. So the Fauci diaries just came out this last couple of days, and it's not something that I ever expected to even say, that like Anthony Fauci had a diary and that way everybody would be reading it, but it did happen. So first, I guess I just want to get your initial reactions. I assume you've probably read excerpts and little things here and there out of it. It's long, it's over 1,000 pages, but what were your initial thoughts?
He's worse than we imagined.
Yeah.
You know,
saying a lot too.
Yeah, it's hard to even describe, right?
Right.
And it's in a way fascinating. Once you start reading, it's hard to stop.
Right.
It's like watching a train wreck.
Yeah.
He seems very emotional. He's, narcissistic, but he's also very sensitive to criticism. He reads the comments under people's posts, which like, how does he have time for that? And he's in his 80s and, paying attention to frivolous things like that.
Right.
That's sort of the initial. And he's also very consumed with the people that he knows and the connections he has. And it seems very science light. And you get the sense that he's flying by the seat of his pants. He doesn't seem measured or contemplative. He doesn't seem serious, right? He seems immature. And
no, I was just saying, I got the sense that he all those things, also that he was waiting for a moment like this his whole life, in some sense, where he would have the opportunity to, I guess, connect himself with power more and gain more control over things. And he meticulously cites every day how many interviews he did, who he did them with. He tells you if, in one of them it said, Kobe Bryant died. That was mid-January, late January. And he was like, this interview got canceled because Kobe Bryant died. Spelling errors everywhere, by the way. So he's not literate.
Well, I think there was some place where it became clear that he was dictating a lot of these. Yeah. And I assume that he had somebody on his staff inserting, the daily press and inserting articles. But there were some wild things in there.
So, well, let's talk. I want to talk about them because there are some things like right away in the beginning. Okay. So there's a couple of strange quotes and I'm going to read a couple of them. We'll start because I think chronologically it could be most helpful if we just went chronologically. We don't need to go through the whole thing, but like right away, sort of January of 2020, when they were seeing cases prior, maybe a couple months before in China. And I think this was like January, February is when the first case was in the United States. I don't remember the exact timeline, but he wrote early on, I think on January 26th, that he's very skeptical about the Chinese interpretation of the data. And that, well, we'll start with that. So one, I mean, the whole narrative, as I remember it, and I was only 20 years old when it happened, so my memory is probably not exactly correct, but was that the whole narrative was like China didn't create this. This didn't start in a lab. It started in the markets and it kind of spread through the wet markets. When you were reading through, or as you've been reading, did you get the sense that that was what they believed from the beginning or not? Because I definitely did not get that sense.
That they believed that they were, no, I mean, I'll be honest. I probably did it differently than you did.
Sure.
I searched with keywords primarily, and then I'd start reading, and then I'd start going down a rabbit hole.
What keywords did you look at?
Do it chronologically.
Sure.
What
keywords were you looking into?
I mean, it was one thing, Bill Gates, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, VAERS, myocarditis.
Right.
Houston Methodist, yes. It was like one thing after another. Or you start reading about one person, and you're like, oh, well, I want to find out what else, where's this person mentioned even more? Mm-hmm. So I can give you sort of my gestalt of some, like, I got the sense that the CDC is sort of the black sheep of the HHS, that they're secretive with their data, and that frustrated Fauci. And he thought Rochelle Walensky and Robert Redfield were both very weak and had no ability to control their department. And he pressured Walensky. I'm not giving her an out because, but he did pressure her to ignore ACIP recommendations and include healthcare workers in the recommendation for booster shots, which had significant, that prompted a lot of hospitals, including Houston Methodist, mandated the booster. I know schools, there's some Ivy League schools that were mandating the booster, and perhaps that would have been different had she followed ACIP, but she, he was pressuring her. I got, obviously, anybody who's read that, you can tell he despised Trump. He talked about how Trump rambles all the time, which seemed an odd thing to always, he commented on that about 15 times. Trump's rambling again, which you would think he would keep it a little more professional.
Right.
He had a pulmonary embolism, which that no one knew about that until this diary came out. And that was 6 months after his second COVID shot.
What is that?
So, and he called it a pulmonary infarct. It's the same thing as but most people are more familiar with the term embolus, but it's a blood clot that travels to your lung and it causes a lot of pain. It can cause shortness of breath. And it can kill you. It's a serious thing. And he had to go on a blood thinner. And interestingly, there's a document that every provider had to sign called the COVID-19 provider agreement. And it legally bound the people that gave the shots to report significant adverse events, such as a pulmonary embolus. And yet he kept it secret. So that is highly unethical, and it may be illegal. He also had a disease called polymyalgia rheumatica, which is an autoimmune disease. It causes pain and stiffness. The first thing in the morning, you have a hard time getting out of bed, and the treatment is steroids. And so he was on prednisone. He was on steroids. He mentioned it. He was on it at least a month at the start of the pandemic. Steroids can mess with your brain. So that could have played into some of this.
Yeah. I think so. The thing that I'm wondering, even as you're talking right now, what was the motive behind all of this? Because it's very strange that somebody like Anthony Fauci is going to take this all the way to the point where I assume there's some correlation between taking the jab and whatever you mentioned that he had. I don't know the big medical phraseology, but whatever that is, the blood clots and all that, there was probably correlation or some connection there. What was the point? I guess I don't understand. As I read through his diary, I don't even understand what's going on, because what they were saying publicly was obviously not what was happening internally. So they were lying to the public all the time from the beginning. But what was the goal of that? If it's even to the point where he took the jab himself and it almost killed him, what even is that? Is he just insane? Are these people just actually crazy? Or is there no goal in all of this?
No.
What is it?
I don't know. I think it's willful ignorance in some aspects, and that they just can't admit that they're wrong. Especially, narcissists are never wrong.
No, I know.
He couldn't come to terms with that. And plus, he's the one. He wasn't the one, but he was portrayed as the leader of all of this. But there were so many people that he could have shared the blame with. But because he was in the media so much, he became the symbolic of this is our nation's doctor. This is our national expert in COVID. And he couldn't back down from that and save face.
Right. So, yeah, I think I agree with that. It just all seems like way too insane to me, though. You've got to get yourself so deep in this lie. And it started in the beginning. I want to say this was on January 26th. He said, quote, the infectious spread among people weeks before the Chinese reported that they were dealing with a new infection, and that the infection spread. He has spelling errors everywhere. So sometimes if I'm reading it wrong, it's not my fault, it's his. But Chinese reported they were dealing with a new infection, and that gave the virus time to establish itself in multi-generational sustained spread. Remember, early on, the Chinese were saying that there is no human-to-human transmission and that all the original 27 cases were from the market. Now we know the market is not the source, it was the amplifier. Having said that, somewhere the virus jumped from animals to humans. That was literally before we had all the lockdowns. That was like way before all of that. He says, we know that the market was not the source, it was the amplifier. But they ran for years that the market was the source. So they lied immediately. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, you're a doctor and I'm not. Is it just the proximity to power? Is it that they were doing gain of function stuff? You know, he was funding that for decades at this point, and he knew that there may be a connection, and he wanted to immediately cover for that? Or like, what do you think it was?
Well, he wasn't a doctor. I mean, he didn't treat patients. He wasn't interested in like healing people or you know, his motivation was
He's
power.
Interested in killing people, actually. Right.
I mean, yeah, you have to look at what's motivating people, and for him, definitely. I mean, he had been at NIAID for 38 years, I believe. 38 he was the highest paid federal employee, and he is quoted as saying that he wanted to make the department like DARPA. DARPA is this military department that invests in high risk, high reward projects. And he wanted to model NIAID after DARPA, which is telling. Like he wasn't there to just, you know, slow and steady. He wanted to make a name for himself, make a name for the department. So, you know, Operation Warp Speed was right up his alley.
What in this, and I don't know the medical world like you do, so what in the medical world could be like high risk, high reward to that degree, to that level? Like, what could he possibly be aiming at? Like, the more that I read through this, I started to just think, I don't know, intuitively, like this, I think there's something way, way, way deeper here. There's got to be a goal to, like, what's this, all of this money going towards in these agencies? We obviously don't know that in general, but like, what else could you possibly do if they're doing gain of function, if they're like tampering with organisms? Like, I don't know what else is left. Is it just like cloning people? Like, what are they doing?
I mean, they're justifying it in their minds by saying they're getting ahead of the next pandemic. They're figuring out what's going to happen, and they're going to be able to head it off before it becomes a problem. That's how they're justifying it in their minds, right? Yeah. Now, whether that's their true intent, it's hard to know, but that's how they're framing what they're doing with these gain of function studies.
Do you think that's their true intent? Like, if you had to guess?
I mean, I think there's something very powerful about being able to manipulate Mother Nature. And so there's this God complex going on as well. Maybe not on the surface, but deep down, that would not surprise me as part of the motivation.
Right. What do you think when you're reading through this and you're seeing, I mean, the first person I thought of was Dr. Peter McCullough. I thought of Dr. Malone. I mean, yourself. There were a lot of doctors back then who were like, what the hell is going on? And they spoke out about it. Back in 2020, I genuinely thought that these people just believed what they were saying publicly. And that seems to be like I don't know, if we're going to learn anything from the 2020s, it's probably that like the people in charge just lie to your face and they believe the exact opposite behind closed doors. I guess from your perspective, knowing that they knew that there was validity to what, you know, people like Peter McCullough were saying, you were saying, what does that make you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating. But they have destroyed the trust. I mean, most Americans now have viewed public health agencies with a skeptical eye, much more. I mean, prior to the pandemic, I really didn't give these agencies any thought, and I trusted them, but I really wasn't relying on them for anything. They were just sort of on the back burner. And And with social media, they are in our faces a lot more than they used to be, right? They used to just be quietly working in the background, and unless you had a curious reporter, you wouldn't really know what was going on.
Right.
Now they're trying to mold Americans much more than they used to, and they're doing that through social media. And we certainly saw that during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Is there any? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, I'm just saying I think that everybody, and especially I think your generation, I look at my kids and they seem to have a much better sense of what's real and what's fake.
Yeah.
Because I think they're constantly having to evaluate that online. And for us, it's a little more us older people. This is a whole new thing. Like, we had social media and we trusted it, but they can spot AI right away. Whereas I'm like, oh, that's very cool. And I'm like, Mom, that's AI. And it's just,
I don't get that. I mean, as a 26-year-old, that drives me insane. Like the fact that like my parents and grandparents and older people in my life don't understand, and I don't know how to get it through to them. Like, this is like a conversation I had like yesterday with my parents, where just the fact that people in governmental power, not even in government, just in any form of government, whether that be a church or whatever, school board or anything, not just federal government, they're lying to your face, and then they believe the opposite behind closed doors. Younger people, like you're saying, that just seems to be the baseline. Like, we just assume that they're lying to our face. And that's what I assume. I don't believe anything that these people say, because we've been lied to our entire lives, from the time we were in public schools, where they lied to us about everything, to now, when in COVID and everything that's going on in the world today. So it's like, yeah, they're just lying. That's what you assume. The older generations assume that they're telling the truth. And I'm like, dude, we just had a pandemic. They just tried to kill a bunch of people. On top of that, we've killed 60 million babies in 60 years. Like, that's horrible. Like, abortion, like, what do these people need to see? Please give me insight into your generation. Like, what do they need to see for them to realize that we can't trust anything that these people say?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a boomer.
Good.
Not that old. I'm Gen X.
Right.
But the boomers are the problem.
They're a big problem. Yeah, they are.
I just think, yeah, and I can just speak to what I see in medicine with boomers is they put an enormous amount of trust in their healthcare providers.
It's crazy.
There's zero skepticism, and it's probably because they're not online as much. And I feel like that, if they're just watching Fox News or CNN, that's all they're digesting. And they're needier. They need their doctors, right? They need to. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to constantly question your doctor. It's much easier just to say, okay, and give in and comply. When you're older and you have all these mounting health issues, it's just, and, Governor Abbott, he's in a wheelchair, and I've assumed that he was as compliant as he was during the pandemic with the shots and allowing mandates to start in Houston and locking us down and mask mandates. I think he made those mistakes because of his physical condition. He is very trusting of his doctors and much more manipulated and harder to see through it all because he has a serious health problem. And people with serious health problems are very grateful for their doctors, especially, if things are going, if your life has been safe, if your ongoing health depends on your doctor and you have a good relationship with them, then you're going to put your faith in that person.
Right.
And unfortunately, we saw a lot of physicians that just weren't very smart during the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was all a plan. Like, if you get everybody sick and fat, they have to rely on their doctors to live. And then you got this pandemic where the doctors are the ones telling them, go get this jab, go get the vaccine. It sort of is a perfect storm. And I don't know. That's like what people have said for years, that this was, the plandemic or whatever. I always thought that was a little cringy, but kind of cool. So like plandemic, whatever you want to call it. But it does seem like all of the data points to the fact that the whole society, especially in America, was set up for something like this. Like everyone's fat, everybody's obese, everybody is unhealthy. Not every single person, but the vast majority of Americans are extremely unhealthy. We're pumping chemicals into our bodies. We're eating processed foods. Like we don't even know what we're doing to our bodies. And on top of that, you're doing like trans stuff with the kids. Like it's so embedded, just the medical changing human nature, attempting to change human nature and all that stuff. Like that's so embedded in the culture that COVID seemed to be a perfect storm. And I've asked you this like every single podcast, but I'm going to ask you again. Like, what do you do to like, how does that, these diary file, whatever you want to call these files at Fauci seem to be something that should wake up the remaining people who still trust these people. Let's trust Fauci and trust the institutions, the legacy institutions or whatever we want to call these places, these mainstream hospitals. Like, what do you do? It's still half the country, still a huge portion of the country doesn't, like, they can't see the truth. Like, what are we going towards? Like, I don't see this going in a direction because the opposing sides are so, they don't agree on anything. Like I hate the hospitals personally. I don't ever want to go to one again. I don't trust the doctors. And most people that I talk to who are conservative feel that way. The Democrats, the liberals, and even some of the old boomer Republicans who watch Fox News, they love the doctors. Like that's indicative of a deeper worldview that is opposing. So that's a long-winded way of being like, where do you see this thing going after these released?
Well, I mean, you don't have to go to the doctors that the boomers are going to.
That's right.
I mean, that's I would check out Independent Medical Alliance. These are, I'm part of it. It's a group of like-minded doctors that most of us fought back during the pandemic, and many of us took arrows for it. But we all sort of think alike in that regard, that we're going to do the right thing over what some third party is telling us to do. And, I think, one of my kids broke his arm recently. I had the misfortune of ending up at Houston Methodist Hospital for that. Wow. And my arch enemy, and it was fine. And the lesson there is that if you have a situation, a trauma, acute injury, that sort of thing, you're probably going to be fine. I mean, that's sort of where I think medicine actually excels, is putting people back together when, have something catastrophic happen. The harder part is, chronic disease, cancer, immunizations, checkups, that sort of thing. And, with those sort of things, you can plan, you can be more strategic and try to find doctors that you can trust. Yeah.
Did they give him a vaccine to fix his arm? Is that what they were like, take this vaccine?
I mean, I had my eyes on him at all times.
Yeah, I would too. It's like, that's crazy though. That if you think about how crazy that is, I feel the same way about UW Hospital here in Madison. You got like, I have little kids, 3, 2, and 9 months or whatever. I feel like whenever we go to the doctors, which we don't really anymore, I'm just always paranoid. Like, I don't want to like stick a jab in him. Like, well, I'm not looking. People are crazy. I just think they're insane. So that makes sense. I'm getting like infuriated as we talk about this, because I do. So I wanted to ask you, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before, and I'm sure you've talked about it publicly, but where do you think the COVID originated? Do you think it was in a lab? And if so, do you think it was in a Chinese lab? I know that some people think it was in a lab, or it was in North Carolina, I've heard before. Like, what's your take on where this actually came from?
I think it was made in a lab. I think it was purposely released. I feel like it was warfare, and it was very ingenious because it divided our country. Destroyed our country. Normally you get attacked from a foreign country and it brings the country together. No. Like 9/11 brought people together. Yeah. This split our country, destroyed trust in the government, destroyed trust in public health organizations, destroyed trust within families, within friendships. And I don't know, it was, to me, I don't know. It's just a theory. I have no idea, but that's my gut.
You think it originated in China, though? You think that it was a weapon against America from China, or do you think that it was originated in the United States, was released through China into the rest of the world, knowing that it would reach the United States?
Yeah, I mean, there's some, if you look in some of the other things that Senator Rand Paul has put up there, there's the prequel, and I started to look at that. I've not managed to finish it, but yeah, in the prequel, you see all these, there's a courier with vials, and he's trying to get those vials to China, or he's bringing them in from China. And there is a lot of back and forth, and it's hard to, what's the chicken and what's the egg. And University of Minnesota is tied up into it, which doesn't really get talked about.
How is that tied into it? I didn't even see that.
There's a researcher at University of Minnesota, Fang Li, I believe her name is, and she had a student that was communicating with the Chinese, and they were trying to, and Ralph Barrick, and there was a virus. It was I can't remember, but it was, some other virus that they were trying to send monoclonal antibodies for it, and the live virus. They were trying to send that through the mail.
Really?
And got intercepted. And they probably did succeed. They just got intercepted twice, but there were probably other times where they weren't intercepted.
So the Fang Li, I just looked him up. At the University of Minnesota. See, these are things. So this is another question as far as the medical stuff goes. And as far as I understood, and I don't understand geopolitics very well, but I always thought that the United States and China were enemies to some capacity, that we didn't cooperate. It seems though, I mean, based on what you just said, and potentially, I mean, either there's like Chinese spies in the United States that are like working, which is definitely true, that is happening. But it also seems like it's potentially true that Fauci was working with the Chinese. Is there any, so like,
well, yeah, I remember in residency, I had a attending that loved the Chinese, and it was like this, the Chinese ambassador from this university is coming to Stanford, and they were all collaborating, and it was like collegial, right? And this we're above all these politics, right? We're going to ignore all this communism stuff is ridiculous, and it's like that was a sense I got that. Well, this is not political, and we're just going to come together. Two great scientific laboratories coming together, working, collaborating in the name of science.
Yeah. Now
that could have been complete BS, but that was sort of how it was portrayed in my department.
I mean, my thought would just be the two countries that have committed the most murdered babies in the history of the world collaborating on anything medical. I would just probably be like, yeah, it's probably not good. That's what my gut would tell me. It's probably not a good thing. Oh man. Okay. So I do want to read something real quick though, out of his diary. It's kind of long, but it again kind of speaks to what we were just talking about. So this is on January 31st. Again, super early on. I think it's amazing to me that he's writing this stuff so early. It's just amazing. So he says, when I got back to my office, got a call from Jeremy Farrar, who sounded very concerned and conferenced me in with Christian Anderson, an evolutionary biologist from Scripps. They had also been talking with Eddie Holmes, another evolutionary biologist from Sydney, Australia. There have been conspiracy theories that the virus was given gain of function by inserted mutations and deliberately or accidentally released in Wuhan. One theory was written by Indian investigators that HIV sequences were inserted by a Chinese person in Canada and released in Wuhan. Everyone thinks that this is crazy, but the Farrar phone call was different. The people on the phone felt that the mutations around the furin cleavage site of the spike protein could not have occurred naturally, since it would require an evolutionary jump that they found nowhere in bat isolates. They bring up the possibility that this could have been deliberately inserted and either accidentally released or deliberately released by a crazy person in the lab. The former being the most likely. Jeremy was calling me for advice. I suggest that we get a larger group of qualified evolutionary biologists together. Under the auspice of a convening body and carefully look at this, we agreed to convene on the phone. The next day I called Brian Harrison and blah, 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 blah. Did you read that? Have you heard that part?
I mean, I've read so much. I believe I read it. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I mean,
that's January 31st. That's just crazy. I don't know.
I know that is because it's a lot of words, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like he's over explaining.
Right.
I mean, there is a theory that some of my friends have that this whole thing is just made up. It's the staffers did this. Mm-hmm. It's turning Fauci into the patsy.
I thought that too.
Right.
I did. Yeah.
Because that is a lot to say for such so early on.
Yeah.
A lot of he's like hyper explaining, or maybe he went back.
I mean, he's
he may have.
He's a narcissist. I mean, this could just be like, I'm writing this for the history books. They need to know. I don't know. Right. The only reason it's crazy.
But did we know but at that point, did we know it was going to be anything, right? At that point, like, does he have a death toll on that?
He does. He actually he did give the death toll every day. I don't have it written down here, but that was the day after or 2 days after he first met Trump. And I think the reason that's interesting is just because it seemed like at this point things were kind of ramping up, as far as I understood reading through it chronologically, because the next day he talks about Francis Collins and all of these.
Oh, right. The long list.
Yeah. The long list of people they brought together for this, whatever, like the most corrupt list in human history. But, and the crazy thing about Francis Collins, and I'll just mention this just because I'm bitter about it, is that Christianity Today ran story after story about how much of an amazing Christian Francis Collins is. He's like using aborted baby fetuses to create this vaccine. So he's like a sick human being. But anyways, and Christianity Today is obviously a joke and not Christian, but just that they were, I don't know, just the fact that if this is true, if this is his writing and if it is real, the fact that they're even like considering the fact the quote unquote conspiracy theories could be true and they're saying these things, I mean, that just shows that this was years and years of them basically covering up and slandering you and everybody else who spoke out about this like that. I just feels like I'm saying the same thing over again, but it's so dark and evil. I just don't know what even. I think that after reading some of this stuff, for the first time maybe not the first time, I'm a little emotional sometimes, but I'm like, this is it's over. Like this America feels like it's over. Like you can't trust anything that these people say because they attacked anybody who said these very things that they apparently, allegedly, according to these documents, initially believed could potentially be true. Like that's just crazy. You have to lie for so long and you have to lie so consistently and everybody has to do it. That just seems incredible if they pulled it off. I don't know.
I know, but yeah, it's a lot to digest, and so many people fell for it.
So what do you think?
But hopefully we learn.
Right. What do you think the result of this is going to be? Do you think Fauci you think he'll get in trouble for any of this? Do you think he'll go to prison? What do you think?
No, I don't. I mean, I do like the fact that he's being publicly ridiculed. And I think that's got to be hard for a narcissist to process.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. I will say this. So Mays Middleton, who's running for Attorney General in Texas, I talked to him today and he said day one, he is going to bring charges against Fauci in Texas.
Good. You think they'll go anywhere?
Well, it's a start, right?
Yeah. It's just crazy. I don't know. I'm like, the last week, so my wife and I have also been reading about like brain death or the medical concept of brain death, which is, I didn't know any of that stuff either. So I'm just super angry at the medical system right now. That's crazy. And so my thoughts are just like, this is all just horrible. Basically the entire medical industry is predicated on lies, or they just lie all the time. And it's just shocking. And I shouldn't be shocked because I'm like a Christian and I'm a Calvinist and I believe people are born evil and into sin. So whatever, I shouldn't be shocked, but I am shocked.
I would say a lot of it's more laziness in that you get fed the lies and you don't challenge it. And so you just accept what you're told, and it's not as evil. And not everybody's evil. They're just lazy. They're not challenging it. They're not digging into it. I used to be like that. I just accepted what I was told.
Mm-hmm. And did you feel like, looking back now in retrospect, do you feel like prior to 2020, did you notice any things that could potentially have given you insight had you been paying attention to something like this was coming down the pike?
I wouldn't say to the extent, no, I did not see this coming at all. I would say that the protocol driven medicine, I could see that happening. Like when I was in residency, we didn't have this protocol checklist way of treating patients. But what happened is over the past 20 years, they've become more and more protocol driven, so that if you came in the emergency room with pneumonia, there's a checklist that every doctor has to go through and make sure that they're doing the certain things in a certain time and giving the certain medications. And if they don't, they get financially penalized by Medicare. And if they comply, they get financially rewarded. And that wasn't going on when I was a resident, but gradually it's become sort of the standard now, is that doctors get graded on their compliance with these protocols. And that did not go well during the pandemic, obviously.
Well, yeah, it doesn't go well in general, but is that basically purely for financial reasons, efficiency? And
I think, they don't want to waste money, and they claim it's better quality. And, it's better quality if you have doctors that aren't well trained, who don't know what they should be doing to begin with.
Yeah.
But there's got to be some flexibility. There's nuance. I mean, everybody's unique, and it's hard. It's very difficult to approach every patient the same way. So
let me ask one last question, and it's not necessarily about Fauci or anything like that, but it is, I think, about the future of the medical industry. There's like a lot of, obviously, discussion about AI and AI being implemented into the medical world. I don't know exactly how it's going to be implemented. It probably will. I'm generally just anti-AI. I hate the data centers. I don't like any of that stuff. I think we're creating a new Babel, and it's bad. But anyways, what's your take on AI being implemented into the medical realm? People, go maybe instead of going to doctors, and they're having appointments with like AI medical assistants. Like, what do you think about that whole idea?
Yeah. So my kids keep me abreast with all the stuff going on TikTok. And they told me that there are people on TikTok who are bragging about getting prescription medications from Amazon without seeing a doctor. Exactly. So I went on Amazon and dug into this, and you can get 5 free AI doctor visits from Amazon.
What?
Where I'm sure you're giving them all sorts of data, which they sell. So it's not really free. And you can get medications delivered to your door without ever talking or interacting with a real person. And they say that these AI chat interactions are reviewed by a physician's assistant. Who knows, right? So we're already there. And then I did a poll on X saying, who would you trust more, a doctor, or an AI or AI? And 80% of people said AI. And then it dawned on me that, well, that's actually good for the government because it's much cheaper for them to pay for AI doctors.
Right.
And perhaps that's why they're not bothering to try to restore the trust, because it's better for them if people trust AI. It's cheaper.
And AI, they can more easily control what AI says than what every doctor in America says. That was the big problem with COVID, is that they couldn't control every single doctor. There were like 5 who were like, hey, no, this is bad. More than 5, but not as many as you would like to see. And AI is, it's literally, they can control the inputs and what it says to the people, which is horrifying, because I also think about the fact that there have been a bunch of lawsuits all over the country just about being able to get abortion pills and things like that online. Like that's, I mean, obviously going to be something that, like, what's the criteria for that? There was one, I can't remember who reported on this. They had either they had told the online abortion distributor that they were like a 13-year-old or something like that, and they sent it to them without parents' consent. And it's like, they're going to do that. Like the AI systems are going to do that. They're going to do that for sure. And then they're going to be like, oh, there's a glitch in the system or whatever. And nobody's going to be prosecuted for that. Nobody's going to get in trouble. And it's going to be like, oops, sorry, this glitched like 10,000 times. I guess we had like 10,000 more abortions, and or whatever, with a million different things they could do that. So it's not, that is not comforting that the people that follow you on X are saying 80% that they want a freaking robot fake internet thing to tell them about their medical stuff. That tells me that, I don't know what that tells me. I got to think about it. So, it's
like, who do you trust? Like who's the lesser of two evils, right?
Yeah. Right.
The doctor or AI.
I think it's probably the totalitarian AI thing. I mean, look at the people who run these companies, like Sam Altman is the one, Peter Thiel with Palantir. First, like, I don't know what you think about this, but like they're gay. So I don't know. That's just, I don't know what you think about that, but I'm like a Christian and I don't agree with that. And I think that there's clear unnatural indications that come from that. But two, it's just that there's this hyper, like there's this, I don't know, they can rip the interpersonal relationship away from the medical industry, and they can destroy all relationships. Like people used to have real good relationships with their doctors, lifelong relationships, and they can destroy that. And an AI can't pick up on the intangible things in people's lives. They can't pick up on any of that. And so because of that, I don't know, people are just going to be susceptible to, I think, totalitarianism in a way that we've never seen it before. But I think that that's the direction we're going. Not to end this in a depressing and horrible way, but that's just interesting to me that 80% of people that follow you said that. That's not good at all. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, tomorrow isn't the hearing tomorrow morning, am I right about that? The Fauci hearing, the Senate Fauci hearing. I think that's at 7:30 a.m. Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. Am I allowed to mention what show you're going on tomorrow that people should tune into, or should we wait on that?
Go ahead. I don't think it's top secret.
All right, cool. You're going on Tucker Carlson tomorrow night, so I'm sure he'll ask a lot of good questions about the same topic. But I suspect that after the hearings, we're going to learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I guess, or we'll just hear Fauci lie for a long more than what he's already done. But any final thoughts?
Well, the best thing he could do, because at this point, he can't be incriminated. Theoretically, for anything he says. So the best thing he could do is apologize.
I would honestly, if he came out and said, "I'm sorry," obviously it's messed up what he did. If anybody at this point in the government ever said, "I'm sorry," one time, I would be like, look, I forgive you. You're the first person to say it. I forgive you. You for being the first one to be bold enough to say I was wrong. Like no one's saying that.
No one does it.
I know. That is not a good sign. That is not good. Even if Trump was like, shouldn't have gone to the war. We shouldn't have gone into this war. Now we're in it. We got to finish off whatever. And I'm sorry. And I'd be like, great. I'm on your side again.
Right.
Just anybody, but they won't do it. I think again, isn't Fauci a boomer? I think he's a boomer. So
he's definitely a boomer.
Yeah, he's definitely a boomer, and they cannot say sorry for anything. And that seems to be.
Oh, is that a boomer trait? I thought that was just a male trait.
No, I mean, okay. I mean, that could be part of it too, but it's definitely a boomer trait. I mean, yeah, it's probably, actually, you're probably right. It's a narcissistic male boomer trait. I'll say I've said sorry a couple times. I think you should say sorry to your wife if you're a man. And then, it's going to be tough to say sorry to anybody else. You have to really be wrong. That's how I think about it.
Right.
You have to really be wrong. So,
well, I when I was younger, I had a very hard time saying I'm sorry. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten easier. I'm not sure why. So there's hope for you.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know. With the whole like cancel culture and everything that's happened over the past decade, just in general, I think it's turned people off to saying sorry for anything because it feels like you're being forced into it by like a mob of people. Like that was the whole, like, I think, I mean, Dave Portnoy, he's one example of this. There's a million examples of this where people like try to force these guys to say sorry. And then they become people who are like, I'm not saying sorry for anything ever.
Well,
I'm never going to say sorry. And I totally get that.
If somebody was telling me I had to say I was sorry, then I probably
You'd be like, no way.
That'd be the last thing I would absolutely do.
Right.
But when you do, I mean, when you make a mistake and it's an honest mistake, now if it was devious, and then that's when it's very hard to say you're sorry. But if you make an honest mistake, I mean, we make mistakes every day. I mean, I get in the shower, I drop my soap. I think about it. Like when I get ready, I'm like, okay, I've already made 3 mistakes today. I dropped my soap. I knocked over something, or, it's like you make little mistakes, honest mistakes all day long.
Right.
I mean, so if you can't even admit that.
No, I can admit that. I definitely can admit
I feel like we're in a therapy session.
We are in a therapy session, but I was just going to say, so basically we're just hoping that one of the most corrupt politicians, this is where we're at in America, one of the most corrupt politicians in the history of the world who tried to kill everybody. We're at the point in American history where we're all just like, if you just say you're sorry, if you just say I was wrong about like one thing, and we're all like, okay, we'll feel good about that. So
I know.
That's
it's sad,
late civilization sort of stuff. Any concluding thoughts, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited for tomorrow, right? But happiness is reality minus expectation. So I'm trying not to get too hyped up. But it does feel good to have people talking about it again. I mean, we can say that even if nothing comes of this, at least it gets the conversation going, because this pandemic touched every single American. Right. I mean, it touched everybody in the world.
Yes.
But it should not be swept under the rug. It's being swept under the rug. Oh, and I don't know if you saw what Kennedy said last night on Laura Ingram's show.
No, I refuse to watch Fox. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, it just showed up on my feed as a clip. And he was talking about how Fauci should have stratified the risk, so given the shots to the people that are higher risk.
Yeah.
And he said there was absolutely no upside for children getting these shots.
Of course. Yeah.
But I mean, hello, it's still being given to children. 7 million children have received one under Kennedy. And that just didn't, it's like, well, why are we continuing to put children in harm's way for a shot that you just said has zero upside?
Was this, sorry, just one more. I mean, based on what you just said, that is interesting. For some reason, this is the first time that I've thought of this. Obviously, making the people who are the highest risk take the shot first would make the most sense. That takes like 30 seconds to figure out. Why didn't that happen?
Right. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Because there was no common sense. Common sense was thrown out the window.
Do you think these people are stupid? Like low IQ? I don't like, I'm that's a serious question. Like, I'm reading Anthony Fauci's diary. He can't spell. I think he's stupid.
Okay. I attribute that to he's using a dick.
Okay. But there's situations where he spells like like TME or something, where it's like, dude, the M's not even close to the H. Like
he's like 80 years old though. We have to give him some.
But he shouldn't.
You should see me when I'm typing fast. I make all sorts of mistakes.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's not the big sin of the diary, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. But like, are these I have a hard time believing that a intelligent person who is in a position of this much authority and power in this crisis, one of the biggest medical crises in the history of America, the biggest, not a single one of these people in these positions, not one of them is like, hey, let's put this.
There were a couple. I mean, if you read the diary, Scott Atlas pushed back, and there was the guy that I've never heard of him before, Mike Mamoli, pushed back. He was a junior staffer, MEMOLI. He pushed back. And Fauci was like, "Oh, guys, he's going crazy like Scott Atlas."
What's crazy about that? Does he explain what's crazy about that?
Well, there's no. I mean, but look, Fauci got 6 COVID shots, and he got COVID 3 times. That automatically means there's something he just can't.
Yeah, right? That's insane. That's crazy. Yeah. The thing came up on my YouTube today, that video where Fauci was going door to door, trying to convince everybody to destroy their life with the vaccine. And that one guy like started pushing back at him, and he's like, why are you telling everybody to get the vaccine? If you're paying people to get it, there's something wrong. And they just like, they're like, they, once they were done with that conversation, they pretended like that guy was scum of the earth, didn't exist. And I am still trying to figure out, honestly, whether or not these people like Fauci are like just purely evil. They have no conscience. They've severed their conscience, or they're stupid.
Severed conscience. Yeah. I mean, but think how he thinks he's so smart. He thinks he's much, even amongst his peers, he's very condescending towards Rochelle Walensky, very condescending about Robert Redfield. He clearly considers himself on a higher level than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, because that seems to be the case with everybody in a position of power from that generation at the current moment, not everybody, but I'm blowing it out of proportion a little bit, but from a lot of people, why do you think that generation, like, what is it about people like Fauci and even like Trump, who there seems to be similar characteristics where if you don't agree with me, if you don't do exactly what I do, Thomas Massey was a prime example of that. If Thomas Massey doesn't obey Trump 100% of the time, Trump's going to do everything that he can to get rid of him. And all the boomers will support it. It's just a fascinating thing. Like, why do you think that is? They really just trust the piece of paper that like Fauci has a degree and he's like smart and he went to the important schools and he has the title. Is that really all it is for these people?
Yeah. I mean, well, Fauci was there for 38 years. It's not like he flew in there, you know, 6 months prior. So he had that gravitas from just being in there for so long. Mm-hmm. He does come across, you know, he's articulate. We can give him that. And he has a commanding tone to his voice, and he's probably a lot like Trump, right? And that's why they clashed. And
he's like 5'4", right?
Yeah, so tiny.
So that's the problem.
But and that's part of the problem as well. 100%. But you know, we all know that power corrupts.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, it's hard for men and women to resist, right?
Right. If I've learned anything on this episode, it's that you're a sexist and that you think men are evil. No, I'm kidding.
There are plenty of women. I think actually women are much more difficult in different ways.
I don't want to say I completely agree. I know men have problems too. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. But okay, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I think it's helpful for people to just read through this stuff and to talk about it, because even though we're 6 years after the start of COVID and everything that happened in 2020, we're going to be uncovering stuff for decades to come. I mean, that was one of the craziest things that ever happened in the history of the country. And so people need to still to this day need to realize, I think at the base level, that their politicians will happily tell you something to your face and they do not believe it personally, and they don't care, and they think you're an idiot, and they think that you'll never figure it out. And I think that that's what I gained from reading these. So thanks for doing this.
Absolutely agree. Thank you.